All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a high-stakes, absolute masterclass on Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706. Specifically, we are tackling the absolute giant of the syllabus, the one topic that keeps everyone up at night: incomplete records and the preparation of financial statements. We're going to systematically dissect complex questions, we're going to master your exam time allocation, and we're going to deploy critical thinking strategies exactly the way Cambridge examiners demand. This isn't just about memorizing formulas, it's about getting inside the examiner's head. So let's dive right in. I want you to look closely at this number on the screen, 15%. Did you know that incomplete records accounts for a massive 15% of your total marks in Paper 2? Think about that for a second. This is the high-stakes reality we're dealing with. If you don't completely master the specific topic, you are literally leaving a huge portion of your grade on the table before you even walk into the exam hall. It is the ultimate differentiator between an average candidate and an elite top-tier one. So today, I'm going to show you exactly what examiners are looking for, the exact traps they set, and how we can secure every single one of those marks. Okay, here is our structured roadmap for today's session. First, we just established the 15% stakes. Next, we're going to look at core accounting principles through the examiner's lens. Then we'll break down the procedural framework, move into the deconstruct, solve, and evaluate method, and finally, we'll expose the top 3 examiner warnings. Let's get started. Section 2, Core Accounting Principles, the examiner's lens. Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is that it completely reveals the secret architecture of the exam. You see, examiners aren't just looking at your math. They are targeting 3 distinct cognitive domains. Assessment Objective 1 is knowledge and understanding. That's your baseline. Assessment Objective 2 is analysis. And Assessment Objective 3 is evaluation. To be a successful candidate, you absolutely must demonstrate competence across all 3 of these domains. But here is the exact spot where students notoriously fall apart: the command words. Imagine you're staring at a high tariff question, maybe worth 9 to 15 marks. If that prompt asks you to analyze, it is strictly an AO2 task. That means they're testing your ability to break down causal relationships. But if it asks you to evaluate, well, now you're in AO3 territory, which requires a concrete judgment of value based on the evidence you've calculated. If a prompt simply says explain, you are just giving reasons. But if it says to what extent, you literally must weigh 2 opposing sides against each other. So when you look at a complex 15-mark prompt, I want you to visualize using a digital highlighter. The very first thing you must do is isolate these command words to uncover the hidden constraints of the question. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate insider secret pulled directly from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. Listen to this quote: "Candidates referencing cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks." This is a real game changer, folks. The theoretical architecture of incomplete records doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It rests heavily on precise definitions and, crucially, integration with other syllabus areas. To unlock the highest marking bands, you have to figure out how to integrate definitions from incomplete records with concepts from, say, partnership accounts or depreciation. I actually tasked 2 of our top scholars, let's call them Alex and Sam, to figure this out. I told them, show me how this cross-pollination works, because that is exactly what the examiners are hunting for. Section 3, the technical methodology, peer deconstruction. So the absolutely crucial point here is that systematic processing has to follow the standardized 5-step sequence. When I was observing Alex and Sam in their collaborative digital study suite, debating how to lay out their essay and problem response, a massive debate broke out. A really common pitfall, and this was Alex's initial approach, is to take a strictly factual, highly technical approach. Alex wanted to just race through step 1, identifying key elements, and step 2, applying relevant principles, just to crunch the numbers and execute the analysis. But here's the catch. If you only stick to a factual, numerical approach like Alex did, you completely cap your score at AO1 and AO2. Sam, on the other hand, argued for a much broader conceptual perspective to unlock those top-tier marking bands. And Sam hit the nail on the head. You need that broader perspective, which means focusing heavily on step 4, verifying your results, and ensuring step 5, presenting in the appropriate format, actually includes rich evaluative commentary. This perfectly highlights the intense tension on this next slide: extracting data versus drawing evidence-based conclusions. Watching Alex and Sam challenge each other's interpretations was incredible, because it happens to every student. Students constantly make the fatal mistake of just extracting incredible granular detail from the text and tables provided in an incomplete records problem. They find the data and they stop. But proper data interpretation requires balancing that extraction with actually drawing evidence-based conclusions and evaluating the overall business performance. You literally cannot just list the numbers you found. You can't just throw down a calculated markup or a gross margin and call it a day. You must interpret the relationships between those numbers. Why did the margin change? What does that mean for the business? That exact shift in thinking is what transforms a perfectly good average answer into a flawless Cambridge-level masterclass answer. Section 4. Critical Analysis, Hitting the Roadblock. Now, just as Alex and Sam hit a major, frustrating roadblock in drafting their model response, I want to quickly pause our session right here. If you are finding these examiner secrets helpful and you want to consistently crush your Cambridge exams, you need to subscribe to the channel right now at acetheexam_IGCSE. That's at acetheexam_IGCSE. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you literally never miss a weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategy. We are dropping these exam hacks constantly, and you want to be the first to know. Okay, let's get back to getting Alex and Sam unstuck. So here is exactly where they and so many other candidates get stuck. Comparative analysis. When performing comparative analysis, a top-tier response strictly requires identifying both similarities and differences. You can't just list differences. You can't just summarize similarities. It's not an either-or situation. To get full marks, you absolutely must use comparative connectives. We're talking about words like whereas, conversely, or similarly. And crucially, you must support every single comparison with hard evidence from the incomplete records data, actively drawing conclusions about their relative importance. I had to step in and show Alex and Sam that without those comparative connectives, their paragraph was just a list, not an analysis. To really lock this in, let's look at the deconstruct, solve, evaluate cognitive strategy. I want you to read these 5 steps out loud in your head. Identify given information, break into logical steps, solve systematically, check for reasonableness, and make justified recommendations. Imagine applying this to a generic, messy, incomplete records problem. First, you identify the missing figures. Maybe it's an opening inventory that burned in a fire, or cash that was stolen. You break the calculation into logical, bite-sized steps to solve for the missing purchases. Then, you step back and check. Is the resulting gross profit margin actually reasonable, based on known industry standards? Does it make sense in the real world? Finally, you make a justified recommendation about the business's financial health. Watching Alex and Sam rewrite their flawed section paragraph by paragraph using this exact step-by-step framework was amazing. It literally turns a mediocre, confusing calculation into a flawless, full-mark response. Section 5, Examiner Warnings, Interactive Pause and Practice Workshop. All right, I want you to directly address the screen right now. We're doing an immersive 60-second visual challenge. Spot the flaw. Can you spot where candidates lose the most marks regarding format and presentation? Look really closely at how the financial statement is laid out in your mind's eye based on what you've studied. Are the headings correct? Is the terminology precise? I'll give you a huge hint here. The presentation of information in incomplete records follows strict, absolutely uncompromising conventions. It's not a suggestion, it's a rule. Did you spot the errors? Let's break them down. Let's systematically dissect the correct paths by revealing the top 3 examiner warnings straight from the principal examiner reports. Error number 1, missing proper format. I cannot stress this enough. Students literally bleed easy marks because they simply don't format their income statements or statements of financial position correctly. Error number 2, failing to check format and presentation. Clear annotation and correct terminology are completely non-negotiable. For example, if you write down the word stock instead of inventory in a formal statement, examiners will penalize you. It's that strict. Error number 3, answers like specific context. You cannot just drop a generic, memorized textbook definition of why incomplete records are bad. Your answer must relate specifically to the exact sole trader or the specific business scenario provided in that unique exam prompt. If it doesn't connect to the prompt, it doesn't get the mark. Section 6, Strategy Recap and the Ultimate Safety Net. So to synthesize this entire masterclass, try using a mnemonic memory hack to lock in the procedural framework we've discussed. Create a memory device using the first letters of our key terms: identify, apply, execute, verify, present. Maybe use something fun like I always expect victory and perfection, whatever works for your brain. Why do this? Because under the immense ticking clock pressure of the exam room, a mnemonic guarantees you will mechanically follow the systematic processing rules without panicking. It's an anchor for your mind. And this brings us to the absolute climax of today's explainer. If you remember absolutely nothing else from this entire session, I want you to remember this ultimate insider warning. Method marks can save you. Always show you're working. Look, incomplete records questions are incredibly mathematically heavy. You might make a tiny, silly arithmetic error in step 1 that throws off your final profit figure completely. But, and this is a massive but, if you have clearly shown your logical steps, if you applied the correct principles, and executed the analysis with crystal clear annotations, the examiner will apply the method mark strategy. You will be awarded marks for your process. Even if your final answer is completely, totally wrong, showcasing your structural process will absolutely rescue your grade. It is the ultimate safety net. Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, relentless strategy. You now know the examiner's playbook for incomplete records. So I want you to ask yourself, how will you shift your study strategy today to ensure you capture every possible method mark tomorrow? Make sure you hit that subscribe button for AceTheExam_IGCSE, that's at AceTheExam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell for all our future exam hacks, and right now, I want you to leave a comment down below with your exact target grade for Accounting 9706. Put it out there, keep practicing, apply these critical thinking frameworks, and go elevate your accounting game. See you in the next one.